Hi, family. Welcome to another podcast. Let's talk about Jesus. I'm so excited to share with you guys what God has placed in my heart. And I pray that it's a blessing to you as it's been a blessing to me to live it. Let's go. Another week down. Hope you guys had an amazing week. My marathon training is on fire. I am just completing week 8, and all my runs have been perfectly executed. And I'm just really excited for the season. Out of all the training seasons I've had, this one has been my favorite so far. Just because my life, by the grace of God, has aligned everything. I've been married for 6 months now, and just being able to be home. I work from home at 9 to 5, so I have that consistent every day, being able to wake up at a certain time, plan my meals, rest. All those ingredients are much more available to me now. So I've really been able to execute every run, and it's so amazing to see the progress. 8 weeks ago, I didn't run for almost 2 years. So 8 weeks ago, I went to run 2 miles and I couldn't even do it. I did 1 mile and I had to walk because I was just bulking and cutting for a while. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I want to run a marathon in January. So with the progress of each week, I've been watching my body change. I've not been trying to cut my calories. I just want to add the cardio in and see if I can recomp my body. So I've been, slowly but steady losing weight. I think I'm about 3.5 pounds down since I started. So not too dramatic. I don't want to go so crazy and lose all my muscles because it took me a while to build them. So yeah, January 25th, 2026, God willing, I'll be doing a sub 4 marathon. So excited. It'll be really cool. I have a fun trip planned with my wife. I should get to hang out with my Miami friends to get to see where I live. So yeah, should be a good time. So that's going great. But the title of the podcast today, guys, is called The Power of Gratitude. And what inspired me to talk about that is that I've shared with you guys. No, I haven't shared yet, but in my social media, I think I did. I posted on Instagram that Wednesday. Trying to think of the days. I think it was Wednesday. Time flies. Oh my God, today's Friday. Wow. Yeah, Wednesday was 6 years that Jesus found me, and for me, that day has become such a beautiful day, a memory of where He took me from to where I've come to, and I tend to want to spend a day of gratitude, allowing the Lord to surprise me, and just kind of have a beautiful moment with Him. And every year something different happens, and this year was absolutely amazing. He gave me a dream, kind of affirming me in different areas, telling me some things about the future, and just again embracing our relationship, the intimacy that we have. And, and I was just full of gratitude for so many things. My goodness, if I was going to sit here and tell you all the things that I'm grateful for this past 6 years, this would take hours. So, but anyways, I'll go back into and tell you a little bit more about that. But the reason why I came up with this title is because I think, even for me personally, gratitude, I've always, especially going to rehab and you go to programs that talk about gratitude, write down what you're grateful for. And being honest, guys, I always thought that was kind of like, oh my God, that's so corny. Like, and not corny if corny is the right word, but it was like, I just never saw value in it, because I would write it down, but it would never even like mean anything to me. I was grateful for those things, but I just couldn't see how those things would actually help me change a perspective about something. So again, I've always obviously is a very popular thing, especially with coaching. And if you're coming out of addiction in different areas, just talk about being grateful and gratitude. So again, for the longest time, that for me didn't really do anything because I also never really did it correctly. But I've started to understand what the Lord showed me, that the gratitude is not just words, but is a posture of the heart. And that for me began to shift the way I saw gratitude, that I was not just going to be saying words about gratitude, but actually internalize it, allow that to really come from my heart and really feel the things that I'm saying and meditate on that, so that it's not just vague words, but words that can actually help me overcome different areas. And in the Bible, there's so many Bible verses that talk about gratitude that it gives us as an inspiration, to mirror, because I want to always, when I can, bring a biblical perspective about the things that I'm experiencing. And gratitude is all over the Bible. In First Thessalonians 5:18, it says, "In every situation, no matter what the circumstances, be thankful and continually give thanks to God, for this is the will of God for you in Christ Jesus." Also, James 1:7, it says, "Every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above. It comes down from the Father of light, in whom there is no variation or shadow um, cast by his turning, um, for he is perfect and never changes." And then there's Psalms 100 and verse 4 that says, "Enter his gates with a song of thanksgiving and his court with praises. Be thankful to him, bless and praise his name." And that's just so encouraging because there is power in gratitude, and for my life, it's been so evident in moments of, when I'm feeling hopeless or sad or discouraged about different areas. As soon as I began speaking out the things that I'm grateful for, it changes the atmosphere. I'm not even kidding you. Like, sometimes, one of the areas that the Lord uses, and I've shared this a couple of times, that the Lord uses to mold me and shape me, and keep me in his feet, is that sometimes I do battle a lot of spiritual warfare during the night. I'm wake up really early and I have to fight through it, dream, nightmares, oppression, things like that. So that is an area that constantly God uses in my life. So sometimes when I'm battling different things, after a few days, your brother's tired, and I find myself in weak moments and not wanting to fight and having those experiences. And I'm always reminded by the Lord, begin gratitude. And then I start to think, you know what, like, I can definitely say, hey, this is an area that God is using to shape me and mold me. But I'm so blessed, man. I have a beautiful home. I have a wife. I have a job. Everything that's taken care of. I'm healthy. God, by the grace of God, I don't have any illness. We are very healthy people, and so I just start thinking about meditating on different areas. And then there's just something about when you do that. Especially when I also start thinking about people who go through the same experiences that I do, but their life don't look like mine. And some people experience the same thing while going hungry, while being prosecuted in the flesh. These are things that I don't have to worry about. So when I start becoming grateful for that, I'm able to endure and feel the things that I'm experiencing. Again, not denying that I'm tired and I need his strength, but in that gratitude, the Lord strengthens me through my journey. And in the Bible, there's so many examples of people who practice gratitude and how gratitude shaped their life. David, for instance, um, um, Psalms 9:1, it says, "I will praise you, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will recount all your wonderful deeds." This is so impactful because it's like he's declaring, "I will praise you, Lord, with my whole heart, and I will recount all your wonderful deeds." And that was another area for me that I had to really grab a hold of, because I was grateful, but I would say like 10 things that I was grateful for in a matter of like 2 minutes and then move on. And that really did not come from my whole heart, where anymore when I find myself in an opportunity for gratitude, I really try to think of, if whatever example I say, Lord, I'm thankful for my house. And then when I take a moment to realize, wow, I'm 40 years old. I own my home. I don't owe any money on it by the grace of God. And this is just something that I can have for my family. God willing, we're gonna have kids soon and be able to be a blessing to them. And then I start meditating on where I came from, where 6 years ago I was on my rock bottom. After leaving rehab, I was in the streets, and I had to start from nothing. I had no car, nothing, literally start from the bottom, and look where I'm at 6 years from now. That's God. So as soon as you start thinking about those things, your spirit changes. Those voices of hopelessness and sadness trying to give up, they start minimizing, and that strength starts building up in your life. So it's like it's such a beautiful thing, and David displayed that in this verse. And I also like the story about the Samaritan leper. And I'm going to read to you guys. It's from Luke 17, 11 to 9. It says, when Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem, he was passing along the borders between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered the village, he was met by 10 lepers who stood at a distance. And they raised their voices and called out, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. When he saw them, he said to them, go and show yourselves to the priest. And as they went, they were miraculously healed and made clean. One of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, glorifying and praising and honoring God with a loud voice. And he laid face downward at Jesus' feet, thanking him over and over. He was a Samaritan, and Jesus said, were not 10 of you cleansed? Where are the other nine? Was the one found to return to give thanks and praise to God except this foreigner? Jesus said to him, get up and go your way. And I think that's so important because you know, a lot of times we forget that the life that we live, it is not because we are the bomb, we're the best, because especially as you start maturing in Christ, I fell into this few years ago where, I understood that I could not live in sin. I understood what righteousness was. I understood what living a holy life was. And I began doing those things truly from the bottom of my heart because I knew that that's what God required of me and I wanted to do them. But a lot of times we can think that because we're walking this way, that the good things in our life is a consequence of that. On the other hand, there's people like us who are living a life set apart, walking in righteousness, understanding what surrender look like, and they're being prosecuted for their faith. You know what I mean? They're going hungry. So that just shows us that no matter how righteous or holy you think you are, even the blessings, the Bible says every good gift comes from God. So whenever you start to be grateful, especially in moments of discouragement, you start remembering, my God, look where I live. Look, I get to eat every day. I have money in the bank. I have a job. I have a family. Those are not because you're special. That's His grace and love towards you. So whenever you start thanking Him for the things like of your everyday life, for the air that you breathe, it just changes your heart, man. Discouragement cannot stay. And again and again, I am wowed by the Lord in these moments because as much as I wrestle with not doing it, as soon as I start becoming grateful, it changes me. And I want to encourage you, like whatever you're facing today, whatever discouragement, things that you're waiting for that has not come to pass, listen, God has not lost control. He knows everything, So if it hasn't happened yet, there's a purpose behind it. So instead of you feeling discouraged and resentful, why not give thanks to the Lord and ask Him to come in and encourage you through gratitude, And then the last one is from the biblical perspective is Paul and Silas, that is such a powerful story, they were beaten and in prison, and yet the night they prayed and sang hymns to God, their gratitude and suffering led to God shaking the prison and granting them freedom. And that's happened at midnight. They started praising the Lord, and God started shaking the prison, and then they became free. Again, over and over again, the power of gratitude. And like I said, guys, for me, this past 6 years, it's just been the most amazing journey with God. It's been he grabbed my hand and he said, let's go. And oh my God. I mean, if you guys go back, if you haven't heard my full testimony, it's on my YouTube video. And if you can't find it, just leave me a comment. I'll send it to you. I feel like I'm like a cat. I have so many lives. I've lived so many lives, and through it all, God's been faithful. And even this past 6 years has been a season after season of redemption. Everything that the enemy took from me, the Lord has replaced, not just redeemed, replaced, but above and beyond what I can imagine. I mean, testimony after testimony I have that I can share about God doing that. And over again, He wows me with what He's doing. And He's continued doing. There's other promises and things that He has for my life that when I think about them, that it is part of His plan for my life, it gives me so much excitement and joy, and I'm just so grateful that this past 6 years, my life has completely changed. Now I'm 40, starting the second half of my life. And man, am I excited for the things that God has for me. I'm so excited and very, very grateful. So, but again, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about like what does gratitude look like day to day, right? Day to day for me, start your days with thanks. Before you grab your phone, before you do anything, just start praising God. You can quote the verse that says, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." You know, and just start thinking him, Lord, I woke up another day. I can breathe deeply. I have air in my lungs. I have food on my table. I'm about to go to work, and I'm so grateful that I have a car. I'm so grateful that I have a job. Just start with gratitude. And again, in the morning, you have two voices trying to speak louder than your mind: God and the enemy. And if you don't fill your heart and your mind with Christ, the enemy is going to come in, because as soon as it starts, he's going to start whispering in your mind, oh, you don't have this. Oh, you don't deserve this. You should be living somewhere else. And then all of a sudden, those thoughts, they come very often. Sometimes you've been so used to accepting them that now you feel like it's normal that these are just your thoughts. No, if your thoughts don't align with God's truth, a lot of times it's the enemy trying to speak lies into your mind. And sometimes it's just you not understanding the truth yet. So I would always encourage you that whatever you're facing, if it doesn't align with what God is trying to teach you or with his word, when it comes to discouragement, you got to take some time and work in that. And another thing is just thank God in the ordinary. Spend your days thanking him. I find myself constantly looking up to the sky and just saying, thank you, God, for this, or thank you for this beautiful day. I get to live in Florida now, which has always been a dream of mine. And so I've been here for the past few years, and it's been such a blessing that I get to have sunny days all the time. And again, thanking God for my food, for different things that I do. And it just keeps your heart in that posture. And the last one I would say, guys, that is actually very challenging for me sometimes. It's like speak your gratitude out loud. Because sometimes we say it in our minds and in our hearts, but there is power when you declare out loud. Sometimes when I'm like, oh, I said out loud, like, oh, no, I'm not going to allow this situation to take me down. I'm blessed, baby. The Lord has done so much in my life, and I'm not going to let this thing keep me down. So that's always encouraging. And as you speak it out loud, it will encourage you. But I hope you guys got encouraged by this podcast. I am in a gratitude mode. Gratitude is more than words, it's the lens through which we see life. It disarms discouragement, silence, fears, and replaces sadness with joy. And gratitude isn't just a spiritual discipline, it's a spiritual warfare. So again, it is a weapon that you can use when you're battling different things. Fear is your spirit. If you're battling fear, start being grateful, start looking for the things that you can be grateful for, and watch that change in your life. So hope that inspires you guys. I'm really excited. Today, this week also, me and my wife celebrated 6 months, 6 years with Christ, 6 months married. I'm taking her on a beautiful date tonight, one of her favorite places. I'm really excited to just, reflect on the past 6 months. We are so blessed, guys. When I think about, the Lord's goodness in my life, man, from where I came from, the things that I've been through, to meet the woman he created for me. Like I wasn't looking for her. She wasn't looking for me. God said, I got someone for you. I have shared my testimony. He gave me a dream. I saw her, met her, and it was just so beautiful to know that God specifically created a woman for me. And every day I'm amazed of how much we're meant to be together. How different we are, and how much our differences challenges one another, how we make each other more like Christ. But also we laugh so much. We have great passion and great intimacy, and just really, really enjoying each other's company. And being that we're in our 40s, we appreciate it so much more. It was something that we never thought would be here. But like, we are just two little old couple right now, in a sense. In this season, God gave us season of rest. So listen, what we do is I work, she doesn't work anymore. So she takes care of the house and run errands, whatever she needs to do for the house. And I work, and then she prepares dinner for us. We have dinner together, and then we play a little bit of cards, and then we watch a show. We're gonna start stretching and doing some mobility work That's something that the Lord has placed in my heart. We're going to continue aging, right? So I want to make sure that we are flexible and our mobility is great. So we're going to start doing mobility work 3 times a week, and that's going to be something else we get to do after dinner. Again, just creating a little rhythm for our home. Our home definitely already has a rhythm. It's such a beautiful one. It just, even in that, I can say that God blew my mind, because the rhythm in my home was the rhythm I had with him when he was preparing me. And I didn't know how that was going to play out, because I'm adding another person. And my wife, my beautiful, beautiful wife, has been able to adapt and actually embrace and enjoy the rhythm with me. So it's like, oh my God, it's so, so great. So, but all right, guys, I hope that inspires you. I hope you guys have a good weekend. We also, hey, by the way, we also my wife called. I think you're gonna see there's a little block when I post this. I had to cut it real quick because I got a call and got distracted. But her brother, my brother-in-law, and his wife, they're in the hospital about to have a baby. So we're like checking the phone. I'm like, did she have the baby? She called me. I was like, oh, did she have the baby? So we're excited to meet the newbie that's going to be 18. The 18th person in her side of the family that we get together. So excited to meet the baby. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl. They did not want to find out. So I'm hoping it's a boy, but I don't know. Just a guess, nothing in particular. But I'm excited. I'm excited to meet the new baby and be able to continue like having that experience. I didn't get to grow up with a family so close to me, to now be able to be part. I have a lot of nieces and nephews through my wife that I've been doing life with for the past year and a half. And I mean, our intimacy has blossomed. My love for them is deepened, and I just watching them grow, and they love me. And it's just been so beautiful to see that. And now having a new one, this new baby is going to know Uncle Alan from the moment he comes to this earth. So that's really cool, to get another niece or nephew coming. So, all right, guys, have a blessed weekend. And if no one told you, Jesus loves you, and so does your brother Alan. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.